Per month, it is over 100 million people are doing empowerment program led by Kindiki. According to Gen Z, that is wastage of money because there is no value of that money and there is no original source of that money. Gen Zs don't respect authority and they don't respect an office. Gen Zs respect individuals, the values they get from that individual, the authenticity of that person. The president is talking about the parliamentarian being bribed. From where? Who is bribing them? And the bill the president was talking about for money laundering, it is a bill sent to the parliament by the government. President is now setting up Raila against the voters. And in politics, if anybody sets you against the voters, you are doomed, done, dusted, destroyed, and no value to exist.
One blunder in politics can cost you the billions of shillings invested in the political arena as a presidential aspirant. Today with Chapia Chapia is a communication expert. He's going to talk about the blunders that President William Ruto is making. We're also going to talk about the blunder of the week. But today we're talking about the Gen Z blunder. It's very difficult to understand what we young people want, especially if you're not this young. Especially too, if you haven't talked to us directly or you haven't listened to what we are saying. Chapa Chapa is going to talk about the blunder of Gen Z in Ruto's administration, what might actually cause him the 2027 presidential polls. Great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm good and thank you. I'm happy to be on the show today.
A lot of conversations we're having outside here. People are telling me Chapia Chapia every Wednesday. I said this is a small niche conversation. We're targeting politicians, those who really want to know more about politics. And we're also thinking about how we can encourage people to join politics. It's not that difficult as long as we have someone behind you that can help you navigate through the Kenyan terrain. Let's talk about the Gen Z. Gen Z protest 2024, Gen Z protest 2025, Saba, Kim, every business was on a standstill. What is so difficult that Ruto is not getting from the Gen Zs, and how can he navigate through them? But first, who are Gen Zs?
Thank you very much. The political or the ideological thoughts of the Gen Zs is so different. And we find it's not only the president who is not understanding the Gen Z, most of the politicians. Because as a Gen Z, it's a generation. It is an internet generation, a digital generation, Zoomers generation. All the operations are based on the internet. So if you want to access them, you can only access them comfortably through the internet. But most of the political leaders, they don't understand them. The Gen Z, according to the researchers done by several scholars, academic scholars, the Gen Zs are people who are born between 1997 and 2012. In summary, the oldest Gen Z this year, they are 28 years, and the youngest Gen Z, they are 13 years. So by the time we're going to vote for election, the oldest Gen Z will be 30 years in 2027, and the youngest Gen Z will be 15 years. So this is the gap that people must understand. This is the product we are working with. But for example, what happened last week when the president had several youths in the State House referring to them as Gen Z, it was not Gen Zs. He was dealing with the millennials, people above 30 years. I saw some people who are even older than me, and me, I'm not a Gen Z. So that is the area that most people are confusing. The Gen Zs runs from 13 years to 28 years. Anything outside that, it is millennial. So that is one of the aspects the president needs to understand. It is the young people, not millennials, the guys that were born between 1981, between 1996. So the president concentrates his efforts with the people who are born between 1981 to 1996. And those are millennials. Those are not Gen Zs.
What characterizes the Gen Z behavior from where you sit? People born between 1997 and 2012. What characterizes their behavior that Parliament was invaded for the first time in this country?
Very good. One of the characteristics of the Gen Z is that they are techno-savvy. It is the only generation that was born with computers. Even when a Gen Z was born, maybe in a particular maternity hospital, immediately that baby was born. After 2-3 days, they are being shown how to play with a smartphone and iPhones. So they are techno-savvy. So this is the major characteristic of the of the Gen Zs. And when we come now to the finance bill that happened in 2024 and 2025, the Gen Zs, it was independent generation. They Google, they get the information from internet. So when you go for political rallies or when you send people to go for empowerment, you are leaving out the Gen Zs. All the information, they get it from internet. Anything they want to access, they research from internet. And another funny characteristic about the Gen Zs don't respect authority and they don't respect an office. Gen Zs respect individuals, the values they get from that individual, the authenticity of that person, and the direct impact that person is giving, they are benefiting from. So if you are the governor or the president or the cabinet secretary expecting respect from the Gen Z without values, you are out. So those are some of the few aspects I want people to understand about this Gen Z generation.
The president says hawajafundishwa nidhamu.
About the president saying that the Gen Z they have not been taught nidhamu or good manners, the president is wrong. The Gen Zs, they are not like us millennials. Millennials, we were taught by our parents, and we believe our parents were the first teachers. But for Gen Zs, their first teachers is internet. So they have been taught how to respect, and they are authentic. So they will only respect you when you respect them. So by the president saying that the Gen Zs have got bad manners or they have not been taught good manners, it is simple that the president is missing the point. These guys research on internet. You want them to have good manners? Do you have good manners? You want them to respect you? Do you respect them? You want them to respect your office? Does your office respect them? You want them to serve and follow the 2010 Constitution? Are you yourself following that? So those are the basic things the Gen Z are comparing. If they find that you want them to respect you and you don't respect them, you abduct them, you kill them in the street, then they will not respect you. So the manners Gen Zs depends on internet. They don't depend on parents and teachers as the millennials we did. But for Gen Zs, they research. And if you research good manners on internet, it will tell you that you respect a person who respects you. Does the authority respect Gen Zs? No. So of course, they will not respect the authority.
We're talking about blunders today. What do you think is the political blunder William Ruto, the president, has made that might actually cost him 2027?
In 2027, one of the political blunders that the president has done with the Gen Zs is to fight them in their territory. Gen Z, they are techno-savvy, they are digital, all the operation is done on internet. So if you invade them on internet and fight them on internet and monitor them using DCI on internet and abduct them and arrest them because of what they are posting on internet, you are directly into their field. So the best way to avoid, for president to avoid that blunder, the constitution is clear. There is freedom of speech. So let the Gen Zs have their freedom to communicate on internet, but don't fight them on internet. If the more you fight them on internet, the more you suppress them. The more you suppress them, they will resurrect in 2027 and they will hit you back using the internet. And remember, in 2027, the largest percentage of voters will be the Gen Zs. So if you lose 10 million votes from the Gen Zs, you are out and cast.
Simple as that.
As simple as that.
What do you think about the Gen Z's use of the internet? For the president, is they use it to, bash people? AI used to, they were even undressing the president.
Yes.
How would you comment about this? Isn't this crossing the line?
The Gen Z's, they're not crossing the line. This is being creative. That is creativity. What the president could have done to solve this issue of Gen Z's having bad image on the internet is not to call the Gen Zs to State House. They will not go to State House. What you do, you understand their language. You be authentic. You be genuine. You respect them. You show them value. That you have value and respect to them. But you communicate with them online. So when you communicate with them online on their platform, Now they will understand you and you will understand them, and you will develop friendship. Because one of the greatest characteristics of the Gen Z, they develop friends online. That is why you have online dating, online classes, online communication. So they do a lot of things online. So you become their friends, but that is, they will respect you. Because in the previous years, the Gen Z did not go to an extent of even undressing people, because the previous regime was friendly to the Gen Z. So that is the solution I can advise the president. Get communication expert, the Gen Zs themselves, and they should be between the age of 13 and 28. So those are the people to use to engage online. But if you use the State House bloggers, some of them are so old, they are above 40 years, others 50 years, others 30 years, there will be generation gap. So a Gen Z who is a techno-savvy cannot communicate or interact with a government blogger who is as old as 40 years and above, or 30 years. It will not work. So the president should come down and get the Gen Z as his bloggers, because they will communicate as peers, and from that they will reduce the tension online, and they will impact on their peers. But the old government bloggers, they are out to destroy the Gen Zs, and it will not work.
Talk to me about the place of money, finances in the Gen Z movement, or in this Gen Z age.
Yes.
We had 2024 demonstration, lots of death. We had 2025, including Sabasaba, lots of death. What is the president not getting right when it comes to coming up with these finance bills and bills that are being taken to parliament that actually affect the populace?
Good. When we come to the finances, this young generation, they are very keen on value of the finances. And when they started with the issue of 2024 finance bill, the president or the government thought that it is somebody who was inciting the Gen Zs, but it was the media, it was the internet platform that was inciting them, because they downloaded the finance bill for themselves, they tooth-combed the finance bill, and they got the concept that the government has exaggerated in taxation. So when it comes to finances, Gen Zs, they value the money they use or the money they spend. So if you want the Gen Zs to calm down on the issue of finances, make sure the national budget, the money that is being used by the government, it is serving its purpose. For example, the money that is being used by empowerment programs, per month it is over 100 million people are doing empowerment program led by Kindiki. According to Gen Z, that is wastage of money, because there is no value of that money and there is no original source of that money. And then when you come to the Gen Zs, they also go to internet. They are not taught by anybody. They follow the Auditor Generals. Auditor Generals has given several reports on money, how the finances are being misused. E-Citizen, how 54 billions are being misused. SHA, how now the staffing of SHA is being reduced. So the Gen Zs value the authenticity. So if you want to deal with Gen Z in terms of the value of money, you must be authentic, you must follow the budget, you must show the source of the money. Because for empowerment programs, Kindiki is spending over 100 million per month. So the Gen Z, being techno-savvy, they will Google what the Kindiki's salary is getting and the benefit. And the Gen Z will know maybe the salary of the deputy president from the Google and internet is around 1.3, 1.5 million. If you are earning this money, you are the deputy president earning 1.5 million with taxation and all the existing, so your net salary is around 800,000 or 900,000. Where do you get 100 million, 10 million to distribute across the Kenya? So that for that case, the authenticity of the money, the Gen Z cannot trust the government. And they will get this information from Google on the internet. So there is nobody inciting them.
Why do you think we're having this conversation about belts, shoes, watches, jackets? Why do you think this is very critical? Every time the president was at Kasarani Stadium and everyone was talking about his sports shoe costing 100 and something thousand Kenya shillings. Why do you think this is important and why it is being singled out, the bravado and how the appearance of our leaders is?
That is a very good question. In this current economic generation, people don't have money. There is no money in circulation. So the money is being held with the government. There is a lot of taxation. So there's no money in circulation. So when you come out with a watch that is more than 1 million, and there is a person who doesn't have meal for a single meal per day, it is not matching up. So for Gen Zs, they want, when you come up with a watch for more than 1 million, let them have money also. Where will they get money? There is no jobs. They are jobless. So there is no way they will have money into their pocket. So this generation is reacting to this affluent exposure of money and of commodities of high expensive, or the gazellers vehicles, the watches, the shoes, because they are feeling that pinch. Gen Zs are entrepreneurs. They want to work. They also want to live the modern life, but they cannot access that life. So when they see a watch of more than 1 million, a belt or a shoe of 200, 300,000, and they don't have a meal, then that is where the problem comes in. So for Gen Z to be cooled down on that issue, the money in circulation must circulate within the Gen Zs. And how does that money circulate? You must empower them and bring those particular Gen Zs into the job market.
So it's not about the shoe, the watch, or it's about empowerment.
It is about empowerment, official, genuine empowerment, not empowerment of the Kindiki type of empowerment. It is empowerment of genuine jobs. These Gen Zs have gone to school. The Gen Zs, they are not. When the president or the government goes around saying we wanted to employ 50,000 people for housing project, so the labor minister Mutua says we are taking around 400,000 people for employment in Saudi Arabia. Gen Zs does not want to go to Saudi Arabia. They are learned, they are experienced, they are techno-savvy. So they want genuine employment. And these Gen Zs, it is an internet generation. They will rush very fast to internet. This particular leader wants us to go to Mujengo, Kazi Mutaani. Where is his children working? They will Google. The Gen Zs knows where the president children are working. The Gen Zs knows where the governor's sons and daughters are working. The Gen Zs knows where the cabinet sons and daughters are working. So the Gen Zs want those jobs. Most of them, it is for millennials, they will do those manual jobs. But for this generation, they want those jobs. If your daughter cannot come and join them with Kazi Mutaani, if your daughter cannot go and clean Nairobi River, if your child cannot go and do Kazi Mutaani with the county governments, why do you want them to go there? So Gen Zs, they are aware. They know where your children are going to school or where their children are working. And those are the type of jobs the Gen Z wants. But for millennials, they are okay. They can go and be housemaids in Saudi Arabia. They can suffer because of their children. But this is a different generation. You cannot go and tell the Gen Z, we are taxing you because we are doing affordable housing. They don't want those houses. They want money, to work for money, to build their gist houses. They don't want to live in flats of 200 houses. So that is the Gen Z.
If you look at the education sector, capitation, university model, university funding model, how do you interpret this in the minds of the Form 4 who are actually going to sit for the exams and are going to vote in 2027? And even those in the university now that are thinking there was help which was equalized, but now with the university funding model, I don't know how much I'll receive despite from where I've come from.
Good. Gen Zs value education. It is a generation that value education. And this generation, if you touch anything to do with education, you are touching on Gen Zs directly. So it is a political blunder for the government to start playing or changing issues with education. One of the things, the Gen Z, remember, their ages is between 13 and 28, which means most of the Gen Zs, they are in high school and colleges. So these Gen Zs that are in colleges, if they don't understand the category or the new funding help model they are put in, if up to today they don't understand how much is their school fees, you are affecting them directly. And for those in high school, for capitations, or each day the head teachers, they are complaining there is no money to function in the high schools for basic operations. So you are affecting on the Gen Zs directly. So if you tamper with the education system, you are tampering with the Gen Zs, and they will pay you back in 2027. So that is how they value education. And apart from that, Also, another political blunder that is being committed in terms of education, the people who deal directly with the educators, the lecturers, they are always on strikes.
So this is an indirect way.
So this is an indirect way that is affecting the Gen Z. These lecturers that are striking, they are extending the term of the Gen Zs in universities.
Oh, yeah.
The lecturers that are striking, they are the one talking to the Gen Zs how this government is fake, how this government is not giving them capitation, how this government is reducing their help, how this government has increased this and this. So indirectly, if you tamper with lecturers, you are tampering with the Gen Zs. The same Gen Zs are suffering because you have also tampered with their parents in terms of taxations. So it's an extended web. They will hit directly, or they will hit through the influence from the suffering parents or from the lecturers' strike, who go to class before they teach. They tell the Gen Zs, this is the most bogus government, and that's why you see us on strikes throughout.
Do you think the Gen Z will be involved politically in 2027?
Yes, the Gen Zs, they value politics because they love power and they appreciate power and they want to live big. So in 2027, the possibility of the Gen Zs being involved directly into politics is very high. But the candidates who will get the Gen Zs, he will not go to rallies. He will get them online. Any candidates who will have the Gen Z as his bloggers between that age, they will share with their peers their manifestos online. The Gen Zs will not attend those political rallies. The Gen Z will not call them to State House to give them 2,000 or mandazi and ugali. They will not come. But the Gen Z will fight their battle online. The Gen Z will mobilize themselves to register as voters online. The Gen Z will go and mobilize themselves to vote online. So any candidates, whether the President Gachagua or any candidate who will mobilize the Gen Zs online using the Zoomers, the Boomers, or the Gen Z themselves, will get them, because they will be the crucial part in this coming 2027 politics. We are talking of about 10 million voters from this generation.
I remember Trump used his son to go to podcasts,
Yes.
who is a Gen Z, Baron Trump,
Yes.
and it really helped him in politics last year, but one. But let me ask you this. We said we're going to do blunder of the week.
Yes.
Talked about politics, but maybe before we go to blunder of the week, is there something Ruto should do now for Gen Zs?
Yes. One of the things that the president should do and must do for the Gen Zs, the president must have the bloggers. His communication team of my age, they cannot blog for president to win the vote for Gen Z.
Yes, Dennis Itumbi did very well
during 2022, but at the moment, the thinking of Dennis Itumbi and the thinking of Gen Zs as bloggers, they are two separate ways. So the only thing I can advise the president to access the Gen Zs for 2027, he must have bloggers that are peers of the Gen Zs between those ages of 13 and 28. That is number one. Number two, he must become authentic, realistic, pragmatic, because the Gen Zs, they want a realistic person. Number three, on issues of finances, he must become very open how these finances are being done. The president is talking about the parliamentarians being bribed. From where? Who is bribing them? And the bill the president was talking about for money laundering, it is a bill sent to the parliament by the government. Yeah. So is it the president was talking about the government bribing senators? So he needs to come up very clear, and that way he will succeed.
Pragmatic, realistic, and it needs to be authentic.
Yes.
That is Chappie. Blunder of the week. Since I saw you last week, a lot has happened in the political sphere. Of course, Rigathi Gachagua is coming back. But what is the blunder that you've seen from either sides of the divide that have caught your eye and said, these guys need to know this is going to hurt them?
Good. My political blunder of this week goes to Baba, Raila Amolo Odinga. The blunder that Raila Amolo Odinga has done, the political blunder that Raila Amolo Odinga has done this week is the approach of CDF. By telling the parliamentarians, both the lower and the upper house, that the CDF should go back to the county. According to me, it is a blunder. Blunder number one, Raila is being set by the parliamentarian because now he wants to take money from the parliamentarian back to governors. So he's creating a rift between him and the parliament and the Senate. So that is the blunder number one Raila Amolo Odinga is doing. Blunder number two Raila Amolo Odinga is doing is that he is setting himself with the beneficiaries of NGCDF, the beneficiaries that have been the beneficiary of these CDF funds. They will be told by the parliamentarian or by the Senate and the MPs, you are suffering or you don't have bursaries because Raila came up with the idea of removing the CDF. So Raila Odinga is setting himself with the voters. That is number two. Number three, on the same issue, another political blunder Raila Odinga has done, he is setting himself with the loyalty. Remember the ODM fraternity, they are loyal to Raila. When Raila said you jump left or higher, they jump. But this time, the Raila Odinga is setting himself into his loyalty because it was Junet Mohammed who questioned Raila yesterday in Parliament. Millie Odhiambo. All the guys from the government are now questioning Raila. So Raila is being set on the loyalty. And finally, Raila is being said to destroy ODM completely. Because on that issue, there is two different opinions. There is some ODM members who are supporting that idea of corruption in parliament, and there is some ODM members who are not supporting that. So Raila is splitting his party. And finally, Raila is setting himself to become powerless. Because when Raila was joining William Ruto, Raila was powerful because he had a bargaining ground. He had intact ODM. But now when Raila is starting now to split his ODM house and setting himself against the voters, he's losing the powers from the ground. He's setting himself against the Senate and the MPs. He's also losing powers. So eventually Raila is the political blunder of the week goes to the big man Agwambo for losing his power and surrendering his authority to William Ruto.
But isn't he right? Shouldn't he say what he said, that the constitution doesn't envisage CDF for members of parliament? Isn't he right in saying this?
Raila is right in saying that, but the implication, the political implication is negative and is working against him, but is favoring the president.
Do you think the president is setting up Raila because the president is the one who supported MPs for CDF despite the courts?
In my opinion, the president, being a sharp and a shrewd politician, is setting up Raila. Because the president is now setting up Raila against the voters. And in politics, if anybody sets you against the voters, you are doomed, done, dusted, destroyed, and no value to exist. So that is what the president is doing to Raila.
Maybe my final question, when you look at what the president is saying about corruption, is this part of the play in setting up Raila?
When the president is talking about corruption, in my own thinking, I am a worried man. Because the president is talking of 150 million corruption money that was done in parliament. And I'm thinking of 54 billion that was corrupted on e-citizen. I'm thinking of the Auditor General budgets whereby billions of shillings has been corrupted in SHA. So when the president is focusing on 150 million or 10 million, I think my friend William Ruto is focusing on petty corruptions. But the major corruptions, it is in billions, it is silent and quiet.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation with Chape. Chape is a communication expert. He says the president needs to be authentic, realistic, pragmatic for him to get the Gen Z vote. Also says, Raila, watch out. Your brother might be setting you up. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye for now.